Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV and welcome to episode 12 of our Man City Fan TV podcast. And as usual, we've invited two guests onto the channel. But before I introduce the guests, I'm just going to quickly run through what we're going to talk about in this short podcast tonight. And that is we're going to review the last 7 days. We're going to quickly talk about the Fulham FA Cup game, the Man United semi-final second leg midweek, and then obviously yesterday's game, which was Spurs defeat 2-0. And then we're going to review we selected 5 players to talk about this week, and some have been getting a bit of stick off City fans, and I'm going to ask John and Akio their thoughts on it. Then we're going to talk quickly about where do we think it's gone wrong in the Premier League in particular this season, and finally we finish on the golden question. So my guests tonight, we've invited somebody who's been on the channel loads of times back, and that is Akio. So Akio, how are you, buddy?
Oh, hi Andy, I'm doing well. It's great to be back on the podcast.
Fantastic. Well, listen, for those who might not know you or haven't heard of you, I'm sure they are, because if they're on Twitter, they'll know all about you. Can you just very quickly tell everyone who you are and what you do?
Yeah. Hey guys, this is Akio Fernandes. I'm from Goa and I run the Goa Supporters Club, which is an official branch of Man City. And I'm also called Blue Wolf on Twitter.
Brilliant. Well, I'm sure plenty of people on Twitter have seen your vlog about your trip to Manchester not so long ago. So we'll be following that as well with more updates. And we've got a new guest on that we've been trying to get on for quite some time, but just never see, like passing ships in the night. And we've got John on. So John, do you want to tell everybody listening about you, mate?
Hi, and it's John here, but everybody will probably know me as Section 20. I'm the gobby mank that has a lot to say and not much of a brain to go along with it.
You sound like a proper mank, mate. Anyway, listen, what we're going to do is we're going to review very quickly, because this podcast will last around about 40 minutes maximum, but we're going to just quickly review the games that have happened in the last sort of 7 days. So really, we've three games, and we're going to go back to the Fulham game, which now seems sort of ages ago. But this was in the FA Cup 4th round. City at home to Fulham. We won 4-0. Gundogan got us off with a penalty in 8th minute. Bernardo Silva in 19 minutes, and then 2 quickfire goals by Gabi Jesus on 72 and 75 minutes. The team, just to remind everyone, for that particular game was Bravo in net. We then had Cancelo, Otamendi, Garcia, Angelino. We then had Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, David Silva, followed by Mahrez, Foden, Gabi Jesus. So what were your thoughts? I'm going to come to you first, John. What were your thoughts on the Fulham game?
Well, that's the way we should be playing. I thought it was a great game. I thought everybody was doing the bit. There was nobody work shy in that game. Bravo. Everybody gives Bravo stick. Bravo was great in the game. That's how we should play week in, week out. But, can we keep that up all the time, though?
What? When you say you thought it was great, what was it in particular? Why do you think that's the way we should be playing? Bearing in mind, this was obviously Fulham and in the FA Cup. But was there anything in particular that stood out for you in that game in the way we played? We
pressed a bit more. We don't seem to be pressing as much. We go up against teams. We hammered Fulham there. We hammered Tottenham there in that last game, and we weren't just firing just the same. We seem to play different teams differently. We take some games more important than others, and it shouldn't be that way. We should take each game and play it the City way.
Yeah. What then, Akio? John's just said play it the City way. What, in your opinion, what is the City way?
I think the City way, especially under Guardiola over the last 3 years or so, has been just, it's a mix of a lot of technical play, which of course Guardiola has imparted into the team, but it's also a lot of passion, playing with a lot of drive, not being afraid to get in there and really stick it to the opponents. And there's a bit of the traditional City thing as well, which is fight till the end and not give up. So I guess something that has been lacking this season is definitely that drive. So that's, yeah.
Well, in that particular game, we had Gundogan holding, and ahead of him, we
Yeah.
almost had it was a strange formation because we almost had Bernardo Silva, we had Mahrez, we had David Silva, and we have Phil Foden.
Right.
What are your thoughts, John, on Phil Foden and his lack of starts for City so far this season? Especially, he played in that game, and some were saying he didn't really take his chance. But what are your thoughts on Foden? Does he bring more energy to the City team?
I think he does, but I think he's got to bide his time. He's still a young lad. Yeah, he's going to be taking over David Silva's position. Really, in all honesty, he's taking over David Silva's position. It's Silva's last season. He's got to be patient. You know, when it comes to the team sheet, you're going to look. You've got Phil Foden. You've got David Silva. You're going to pick David Silva, aren't you?
What? Why? Like I always do in these podcasts, I'll play devil's advocate and say, well, why would you pick Foden? Why would you pick David Silva over Foden? Because let's face it, there are sections of City fans saying David Silva's finished.
That annoys me. Silva's been nothing but a star for us, and he's still got that in him. You can still see it. Yeah, he's getting on a bit. This is his last season. Give the man his last season. We can't win everything. The man deserves a season of being a captain for me.
Yeah, well, good point. Akio, on that Fulham game, Gabby Jesus scored twice. I mean, his goal-scoring record stats are pretty decent. Why is he not getting more game time?
Yeah, Andy. So, I mean, that's definitely something I wanted to bring up. I'm not too fussed about how the game went about. I mean, I think a lot of City fans would have expected a win, playing at home and everything. But I think looking at the goal scorers is something that's really important because we all saw the qualities of those three goal scorers. I mean, starting with Gundogan, there was a lot of talk about how good he is at taking penalties and the fact that he had 100% record for club and country. So that was one thing that went really well. We saw a fantastic goal from Bernardo Silva, which is, again, something that we've not really seen this season because of the way he's been rotated and his game time and been playing out of position. And again, we saw two fantastic goals from Jesus, which is, again, something that's been talked about a lot. His goal scoring record and the amount of goals that he scored in the games that he started is phenomenal for someone of that age. So, I mean, I can't really, I'm not going to complain that he's getting less game time because there's been a lot of interviews with Jesus himself, and he's definitely conceded that. I mean, he knows for a fact that he's playing second fiddle to arguably the greatest striker of all time in the Premier League. So, I mean, all we can do is really commend the fact that he's accepted that and he's ready to be patient and he's ready to fight for his time. So that's really commendable.
Well, I mean, if we take the statistics for that Fulham game, City 70% possession, Fulham 30. Yeah. I know we're going to jump forward to the Spurs game in this next comment, but we had 20 shots against Fulham. Yeah, 6 on target. We scored 4 last night. If you take the Tottenham stats, we had 19 shots, 6 on target. Didn't score any. John. Does that not say something that Gabby should be starting more for Man City, maybe on the left?
Well, Loris was great in goal, though, wasn't he? You must admit, he was saving with his feet. Aguero should have scored and bounced off Loris's feet. But yeah, I like Jesus a lot. I think he's going to be a star for us in the future, most definitely. But again, you're looking at that team sheet. Who you're going to pick? Jesus. You're going to pick Sergio at the moment, aren't you? You know, it's one of the greatest strikers we've ever seen.
Is there an argument to say Sergio stays and we drop Sterling at the moment and put Gabby on the left where he plays for Brazil?
Oh, I think Gabby on the left's good. He, as you said, he plays there for Brazil. He does a fantastic job there for Brazil. Sterling's definitely needing a bit of a rest to get his head sorted because his form's so much lately.
Yeah.
So get Jesus out on the left. Sterling is your main, Aguero's your main striker, and then because I tell you, Jesus is good at mopping up as well.
Yeah, he is.
He could have scored the mop up he got last night.
Yeah.
But he is good at getting them rebounds and getting a goal that way. So play him out on the left by all means. Do what Brazil do with him. He's used to playing in that position.
Yeah. Okay, so moving forward then, that was the Fulham game, 4-0 through to the next round of the FA Cup. That takes us nicely on to Wednesday night, which was the second leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final, where we had a 3-1 lead at home to Manchester United. Akio, I must admit, I missed the first half. I was away on holiday in Rome, but I got back to watch the second half, and the second half, we were garbage. That's all I can say. So, what were your thoughts on the United game?
For me, it was quite disappointing. I expected, if I had to put money on the game, I would have definitely put money on a lot of goals being scored in the first half.
Yeah.
Because anyone would just expect that City would want to close the game and United would want to get back into it in the first half. But that just wasn't the case. We were pretty decent. As always, as it's been this season, there were chances we should have converted. But I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a really disappointing result because, I mean, on the bright side, a lot of people are going to say we've got through to the final and all that. But a derby is a derby, I mean, there's nothing that quite gets your stomach churning like the feeling of a derby and the feeling of beating Manchester United, especially since we lost in the Premier League at home. So I think a lot of proper Manx and real City fans would really had their blood boiling to just get that win and stick it into them. But it was really disappointing. It just really begs, I mean, the question just begs there that do all the players really understand like the importance of a derby? Does Pep Guardiola fully understand the importance of a derby? Because I don't think we saw the drive and the whole passion that we expected to see from the players. So that was quite disappointing.
That's actually a really interesting point because you've just raised that there. You obviously being a foreigner, you're not from Manchester, and I hope you don't mind me saying that. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way.
Of course.
And obviously Pep Guardiola is the manager of City. He's Spanish. You've got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who's the manager of United. He's played for United, so at least he understands that. Exactly. I really don't know. I don't know how much to read into that, because if I give you the lineups, the Man City lineup was for the United game was Bravo, Walker, Otamendi, Cancelo. We have Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Rodri, Mahrez, Aguero, and Sterling. That is a bloody, that is a really, really strong team. We've got Walker, who's played most of his life. Otamendi's been here for years. Kevin De Bruyne knows what it's about. I'm sure Gundogan does. Bernardo Silva, Rodri's new. Mahrez has played in the Premier League for quite some time. Aguero's been here forever. And Raheem Sterling certainly knows what a derby's all about. If you take the United team, you've got De Gea, Lindelof, Maguire, Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, Fred, Matic, Williams, Lingard, Greenwood, Martial. Now, of those, you're looking at De Gea's been here for a long time. Maguire's English. Luke Shaw is, English. Wan-Bissaka's English. Fred, Matic, Williams is a local lad. Lingard is a local lad. Greenwood is a local lad. And then you've got Anthony Martial. So, John, do you think there's anything in that? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there that United had quite a lot of British homegrown players and local lads compared to what we had. You've got Walker and Sterling, let's say. Is there anything in it, John?
I don't know. Every city in the world's got you've got your two clubs in your city. There's always a rivalry kicking about. A derby's a derby, because you got the Old Firm game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got Barcelona Real. You've got all these competitions around the world where these teams that winning that game is a must. And obviously, if there's two teams in the same city, there's going to be that rivalry. So they've played these kind of derby matches. They should know how important it is to the local fans that they must win, especially at home. Losing at home to United, I was fuming.
Well, that was on the back of losing at home to them in the Premier League.
Oh, well, the Premier League's gone this season. Liverpool are phenomenal. We're off the boil, so that didn't irk me as much as this was. This was booking as a final. We should have gone out there, played the City way again, spanked them off the field, because United aren't that good. We should have spanked them by 2 or 3 goals at least. Yeah. And we never took the chance again. They counter-attacked us, scored on the only opportunities they got in the game, and come away with a win.
Well, I mean, if we take the if we take the match stats again, 61% possession for City versus 39% for United, 13 shots for City, 6 for United, 4 on target out of those 13. United had 6 shots and 2 on target and scored 1 of them. But I think the only saving grace is we're through to yet another Carabao Cup final, another trip to Wembley. It's become our second home. And let's hope we go there, have a good day out. And surprisingly, Villa were the ones who beat Leicester. So quickly, Akio, what are your thoughts on the Carabao Cup final? What do you think? Do you think would you rather have Villa or Leicester?
Oh, I'm not fussed either ways, to be honest. I wouldn't mind either of them. I mean, everyone thinks that Leicester would have given a much bigger fight and all that. But if you watch the Villa versus Leicester game, I mean, both the legs of that game, Villa did give a massive fight. And it does look like all their fans want the team to go absolutely all the way out for the Cup. So I don't think for 1 second that we should underestimate them.
I think that's a really good point. It'll be a massive day out for Villa fans, and they'll be loud, they'll be noisy, and I think it might be a difficult game, but one I'm certainly expecting City to win. But anyway, that takes us on to yesterday's game. So John, Tottenham versus City. We go there. Liverpool won 4-0 the day before. You saw the lineup. The lineup for yesterday was Ederson in net, Walker, Otamendi, Fernandinho. This time Zinchenko came in at left back, Rodri holding with Kevin De Bruyne and Gundogan. And then we had Mahrez on the right, Sterling kept his place on the left, and Sergio Aguero up front. Match stats, like I said, 67% possession for City, 19 shots, only 6 on target. We didn't score any. They had 3 shots, 3 on target, and scored both of them. What were your overall thoughts on yesterday's performance, John?
Even though we dominated the game, basically we won that game, and we just fluffed it. Everybody just seemed to be an inch off. Yeah. De Bruyne wasn't his usual passing god. Aguero really should have sunk them in. Everybody just seemed to be a little Sterling needs a rest. I don't care what anybody says. All these idiots saying we should get rid of him. No, the man just needs a rest. He needs a rest, get his head sorted, because we should have obliterated Spurs yesterday. Yeah. And no, it was a horrible game. I sat through it cringing at times.
Yeah. I think I definitely agree with you. I've been calling it now for 6-7 weeks. I've been saying, I think even though Pep keeps coming out, Akio, and saying, Sterling's sort of recuperation is phenomenal. He can play one game and 24 hours later he can play another. I don't think it's physical. I think it's mental. And I don't know, does it go back to the whole issue with Gomez and the England thing? Because it seems to be very similar to the Bernardo Silva thing with the racist tweet. Ever since that happened, his form has just, it did drop off a cliff. It's coming back now. But Sterling, since the England debacle, has been nothing like he was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm really gutted to see that. I feel really bad because I think he's had an amazing 2019 for club and country. And if I'm not mistaken, he did finish the year with the most number of goals and assists in the whole of Europe. So I think if it wasn't for the slump in the last 2 months and he was just banging in them goals, I think he'd still be in contention for the Player of the Year. So unfortunately, I think it couldn't have come. I mean, this form couldn't have come at a worse time because from the time he's been in this slump, Liverpool have been on fire. Their players have been on fire, and all the talk is just about them. So I really don't know what his chances for the Player of the Year is, but I think a lot of people did expect him to be benched for the Spurs game. But I think once Guardiola came out and spoke about his ability to recover, and I think from that point everybody knew he was going to start. So yeah, I think people do take it a bit far when they say that we need to cash in on him and he's not got what it takes. It's just like John said, it's all mental. It's all mental. I mean, he's played the most minutes out of any other player ever since Guardiola came to City. So there is a definite mental burnout on that. So I think he just needs a rest, and hopefully this 2-week break before the Real Madrid game would be sufficient, and we'll see him back for that fixture.
Yeah, I mean the problem we have is we've just spoken about the possibility of putting Gabby Jesus out on the left, but we're missing Leroy Sané, who would be a perfect replacement to be able to sort of send Raheem away with his family and say, go and have 10 days on a beach somewhere. Go and just don't think about football. Just go away. Because I honestly believe it is mental. I think it's something up there. He just is burning out mentally because he's still got energy in his legs. He still runs. It's just his decision making has just suddenly just gone. I don't know where it's gone. But John, yesterday, we know up until the sending off, God knows how. I mean, Gundogan takes a penalty, like Akio said earlier. 100% record. What is it with City and penalties?
We're turning into England, aren't we? We can't save our lives. But another thing that he'd sorted is the rules over penalty taking. If the goalkeeper's not allowed to move until the ball's hit or whatever the bleeding rule is, then why is it being allowed to happen? Why is the English FA ignoring this particular rule?
Well, I mean, right, okay. Let's sort of rewind very quickly on this whole debacle, because I've spoken about it on Twitter. I've done it in videos and things like that. The IFAB rules are that the keeper needs to be on his line at the point of the player striking the ball. We know that the Premier League or the PGMOL have dismissed certain parts of the IFAB rulings, which Pierluigi Collina last summer actually stated in a meeting to Europe officials to say, if you're not going to follow the IFAB rulings to the letter of the law like Europe does, then how can we take your English referees to referee in Champions Leagues and European competitions and things like that? If you're not going to follow it to the letter of the law, then we can't take your referees. But Mike Riley, in his wisdom, who's an absolute bellend, he's decided for whatever reason, and I think within 4 weeks, there was like 4 to 6 weeks at the beginning of the season, there were 12 rule changes made within the first 6 weeks. So straight away, we start off the season with all these rules, and suddenly there are 12 different rule changes. One of them, when they were asked about this particular thing, was, yes, it is part of our rules, but it's not one that we're going to almost take seriously. It'll be sort of on the day. And no, it's either a rule or it's not. Otherwise, you're talking about, well, if it's handball, they say, well, it's handball, that's it. It's a free kick. They take that ruling. If it's offside, well, if it's a millimetre, it's offside. It doesn't matter. But they've created this thing with the penalty situation whereby they will take it on a match-to-match basis. They're not actually implementing the letter of the rule, which they introduced themselves. So it is causing major problems with VAR, with the rules, with who is. Because surely the referee's assistant can see that he's off his line. And this isn't the first time. It's happened loads. But you tell me how many times you've seen this season a penalty be retaken because the keeper is off the line in the Premier League?
Yeah, none. It's like that whole penalty should have been retaken last night. Didn't it happen to us a couple of weeks ago as well?
No, yeah, but it didn't. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we didn't get a penalty for it, even though we blatantly should have.
Yeah, how many times have we seen referees give a penalty to be retaken for a keeper being off his line in the Premier League? I can't think of any.
No, I don't remember seeing that at all.
Well, that's in the rules. That is in the rules.
See, this is what gets me. It's like, right, if we've got these set of rules from the European body of football, but then we're playing a different set of rules while we're in England, but then we've got to go over and play these European games that's got a different set of rules.
Yeah, absolutely.
To just make them all the bloody same rule, and then we know where we stand.
Well, I mean, it's like, how many times do you see in Europe the referees going over, Akio, and looking at the monitor?
Yeah. I mean,
how many times do you see them in the Premier League do that? I think you saw Michael Oliver do it the other week.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, like I think a month ago or something, there was a article that came out that because of Klopp and Pep, and they've put some pressure on the FA, and now the FA is going to make it kind of mandatory for referees to go and check the screen, for the replays and stuff for the VAR, whatever issues there. And I remember City fans tweeting that and saying that, oh, now that Liverpool's got the title wrapped up, now you got to go and check out the screen. But I mean, funnily enough, we've still not seen it. I mean, in 90% of the games, I can still safely say I've not seen people. I mean, the referees go to the screens and check the replay. So I really don't know what's going wrong. It's just a mess.
A prime example yesterday, and it's been all over TalkSport media. You know, Mark Clattenburg wrote about it today and had his opinion, who says that the Raheem Sterling free kick on Ali was a free kick, but it wasn't a red card. You've had others saying it was a red card. It wasn't. Yeah. There's a prime example. Why not just make him go to the monitor and go, there you go, make a decision? I know it went in our favour. And I personally thought he touched the ball before he touched Ali. So, but I mean, it just there's a prime example to use the monitor. But anyway, what were your thoughts, John, on the terrible corner by Riyad Mahrez that led to Zinchenko getting his second yellow card after he would ridiculously run after the length of the pitch to argue with players and get his first yellow card?
The discipline. Pep needs to grab hold of the discipline. None of them should be doing that. None of them should be throwing handbags on the pitch. Get that to the side. We don't need that in a game. But Jesus Christ, find somebody that can cross a ball. Yeah. Everybody should be able to take a corner. Every 9-year-old kid in England can take a corner.
We've got a terrible record.
We're not good. We're not good on the corners, are we at all?
We're not.
Zinke had been playing well. Now he gets a lot of stick from City fans, but I think he's a decent left back to have as backup. He's maybe not our first choice left back, but he's a decent left back to have, when we need him.
Well, I thought he up to. I was messaging the guys I was talking on Martin's watch along, and I said I thought he'd had a decent game, but then up to that red card. Yeah,
I thought that's what I mean. I thought he was playing great. He was back defending. He was going up. He was pushing forward. And then, handbag time. He should have. And nobody. Why did nobody pull him away? I don't know. We're missing a Company, because Company had been on that pitch. He'd have been over there. He'd have told them all to move. Yeah, you're spot on. Absolutely spot on with that, John. It's right in my mind as you're talking about that. I'm thinking if Vinny was there, he would have been saying to him, "Oi, get back there." Just in case they break away from a free kick. What are you doing running all the way up the pitch? Get back there, you bell end. We're seriously missing a leader. We are missing a leader. But thankfully, Zinchenko's come out today, heartfelt tweet, saying he apologises, he'll learn from it, and it's something. And we've got to remember, he's still only a baby as well. But anyway, shouldn't have happened. We got beat. That is definitely the end of the Premier League for us. And we're going to move on. They were the 3 games. What I want to do quickly is I've picked 5 players, and I've only picked 5 players because these are the players that have got, I think, the most sticks so far this season
in particular. I've not picked Bravo because Bravo just for some reason gets stick all the time. Even though yesterday 2 shots, 2 goals, or 3 shots, 2 goals for Edison. I'm not picked Bravo for obvious reasons. I've picked 5 players that I think one of them in particular we spoke about is Raheem Sterling. Now, Raheem Sterling so far this season, if we take his overall record, he's played 35 games in total. He's scored 20 goals and got 6 assists. He's played 2,801 minutes. Akio, apart from just very briefly on Raheem Sterling, we said that he maybe needs a break and things, but if I said to you, we've got a winger, still young, we got for what, 38 million plus add-ons or whatever it was, 35 games in all competitions, 20 goals, 6 assists. Is that a bad season?
No, not for me. Overall, I don't think it would be a bad season. I mean, just as you said off the bat, if you were to not mention his name and who he was, I'm pretty sure anyone would blindly say that was a good season. He started off very well, and I mean, it's just amazing to think that if he had been doing even half as good in these last 2 months, he would have probably been on 30 goals by now. Yeah. And I think with still another 3 months to go in the season, 3-4 months to go, that's a really great record that he's got there. So I think he just needs a bit of rest. That's all.
So if I said to you, very quickly, John, Premier League, 23 games, 11 goals, 2 assists. Champions League, 6 games, 5 goals, 3 assists. Carabao Cup, 4 games, 3 goals, 1 assist. Community Shield, 1 game, 1 goal. FA Cup, 1 game. I mean, is his form really that bad overall? I mean, if the season finished now, if he finished with 20 goals and 6 assists, if it finished right now, would that be a bad season?
How many other players in the Premier League are getting the stats that man gets? Hardly anybody know the man at all, and people are complaining because he's not scoring every single week. They're not robots, you know what I mean? He's got a dip in form. He's been playing. Last season, he played a blind all last season. This season, up until the dip that the whole team's gone through, it's not just him that's gone through a dip. The whole team has gone through a dip. Yeah. And people are on his back. He needs to get off social media. That's what he needs to do. And he needs to stop reading the papers. Yeah. That stuff's getting to him.
Something's definitely getting to him.
Was it Fergie that used to stop them reading the newspapers and stuff so they didn't get stuff in their head? Because that's what's happening. People are getting in his head. He's seen all the stuff and it's affecting him. But it's affected the whole team as well, I think. Yeah. You know, when De Bruyne went out injured and we started to trip up and we were losing these games to teams who shouldn't have really lost to. We've took a dip. It's hit the whole team and it's hit him as well because I think he thrives off positivity. Last season when we were playing that amazing football after Christmas to sneak back all them games, we were playing such beautiful football that feeds into his passion for the game. So I think he's a player that needs that. He needs encouragement. He needs the passion there. If we're playing dull, he's going to play dull as well.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so that's Raheem Sterling. The next one is Riyad Mahrez, who, let's face it, prior to yesterday's performance, has done pretty well and has been given quite a bit of opportunities. Said before, Raheem Sterling has played 31 games in all competitions. Well, Riyad Mahrez has played 33 games in all competitions, 2,129 minutes. He's got 9 goals and 13 assists. If I say Premier League, 21 games, 7 goals, 9 assists. Champions League, 5 games, 1 goal, 4 assists. Carabao Cup, 5 and 1 game, and the FA Cup, 2 games. So, Akio, what are your thoughts on Riyad Mahrez?
I honestly think Riyad Mahrez has really, really improved this season. I think Pep should have played him a lot more. Like I've been doing a lot of tweets on Riyad Mahrez, so I've been doing a lot of digging and I've been looking at his stats, and he has some pretty good stats. He's actually, I mean, even in the Champions League, and I think he's played almost every game in the Champions League, and I think in the cup games and in the Premier League as well, he's almost having some sort of goal contribution almost every game he plays. There's either some goal or some assist. He's even won 4 penalties in the Premier League. So I think he's working really hard. But one thing I'd really like to see is I'd like to see Pep start him in the big games. I'm just a bit baffled as to why he doesn't do that, because I think he was on the bench for the Liverpool game. He was on the bench for the United game until he came on for the last 20 minutes, and then he assisted the only goal. He played the Chelsea game. He scored the winner, obviously. And I think the Spurs game, he was on the bench as well. He came on for the last 15 minutes. So I don't know whether Pep probably doesn't trust his defensive attributes and how hard he works to recover the ball. But I'd really like to see him start the bigger games. I think he'd really convert for us.
Okay, well, that's Riyad Mahrez. He got his opportunity yesterday. Not that everybody was brilliant yesterday, but I thought he was one of the poorer senior players yesterday. Didn't really gave that corner away, which led to the red card.
Which led to everything, really. Yeah.
It was the whole catalyst for what happened next. But he's definitely improved this season without a shadow of a doubt. Another player that we bought for £60 million, with obviously Danilo going the other way for 22. So in theory, we paid an extra 38 million quid for, was João Cancelo. So far this season, in total, he's played 22 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. And he's got those goals in the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. He's played 1,555 minutes. Been deployed mainly as a right back, but he has played a couple of games as a left back, I think 3 times in total. So, John, what are your thoughts on the purchase of João Cancelo and how he's done so far? Bearing in mind this is his first season.
Yeah, well, I was just about. It's his first season. It takes him a while to get used to the game. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I really didn't see the need to get rid of Danilo, to be honest, in the first place.
Me neither.
But, he's a young lad. He's coming in. It's his first season. There's no one really there. I'm hoping Fernandino's got a grab of him, and he's, instructing these young guys in defence about what it's about, because we've not got a company anymore to do that for us, or Nicholas Otamendi to do it. Because it is a bit of a shock for these to come in from Europe to play in the English game and have guys bearing down on them straight away. It's a lot quicker paced here, so it takes some time. Remember the stuff when Fernandino first came and people were giving him stick because he wasn't that good in his first season, and then after that he's been phenomenal. He's been one of our best players since then. So I'm giving him his first season. See what he's like. Next season, it's down to him to prove that he can play there each week.
Yeah, if you follow Man City fan TV, I'm one I've given him a bit of stick, but it wasn't. It's more to do with I didn't think he was a player we needed. I thought it was a waste of money. But like I say, he's young. It's his first season in the Premier League. Like Bernardo Silva, when he came, and others. We have to probably give him this season and then see how he progresses next season. But moving on to another new signing we got, and that is Rodri. So Akio, he's played 33 times, 2 goals, 1 assist. 2 goals in the Premier League and 1 assist in the Premier League, total in 2,394. What are your thoughts on Rodri and how he's done so far this season?
I personally like Rodri. I like him as an individual. I like him as a human being. I think he's a very smart guy. He speaks very well. He thinks very well. I think he was even doing some sort of business course or something in Spain. And his qualities right off the bat when he just came to Manchester and did that interview just reminded me of Kompany, the way he was speaking, the way he was talking about himself, about the city. And I had really high expectations. I had such high expectations. I got Rodri number 16 on the back of my jersey as well. And I think again, it's his first season and he is young. A lot of people tend to overlook that. He is 23. He's the same age as me, actually. So he's young. He's coming to a different game. It's a totally different style. two different managers in Diego Simeone and Pep Guardiola, and it's not going to be that easy, especially a position like that, like a defensive midfielder position that really needs you to be physical yet technical and all that. It's going to take some time, and I think one of the primary points as to why he's going to take even more time is just really how big, how big a gap Fernandinho has left. Those are really big boots to fill. I don't think a lot of City fans would have expected Fernandinho to go that. I mean, how far as he has come today, but he's definitely left some big boots up there. There are games that Fernandinho has just bossed by himself, like even the Liverpool game, which we won 2-1 last season, that all-important game. A lot of people remember the Aguero goal. A lot of people remember the Sane goal. But Fernandinho, I think it was like, he was just recovering everything. And that's just the gap that he's left there. And it's quite big boots to get into. Those are big boots to get into. So it's going to take a while. But like I said, he's a smart player. He possesses... he has a really good brain. He's very technical. He's very physical. He's got the height, which is really, really important. A 6'3" player. Yeah. He wins all his aerial battles, and I think he's going to come good. We just need to give him some time.
Well, it's certainly he's got Fernandinho around for a little while longer after he signed his extended contract. Hopefully he can. If it gets to 60-70% where Fernandinho's been for Man City, then we'll be happy.
That's brilliant. Yeah.
So, on to our last player, quickly review, John, and that is İlkay Gundogan. He's really sort of Marmite when it comes to City fans. Some like him, some don't like him, some want rid of him, some think he's really technically gifted, should stay. He's so far played 35 games, so out of all the players, this is the most. 35 games, 2,000, maybe not as many minutes as Raheem, but 35 games, 5 goals, 4 assists, 2,420 minutes. What are your thoughts on Gundogan?
He's definitely Marmite for me. I just think he slows City down too much. Pep plays him all the time, and I see that name in the team sheet, and I groan inside because I just know he's going to slow that game down, just that little Gundo style. And don't get me wrong, on his day, he can be brilliant, but it's just on his day, he's not consistent enough with it. For me, I wish we could find somebody to replace him, to be honest.
On the flip side of that, trying to stick up for him a little bit, do you think it depends on who he plays with in midfield? Because if you've got, and I said this last season, I said it the season before, when we were playing the likes of Gundogan with David Silva ahead of Fernandinho, I felt like those games were very slow. But when we've had the likes of Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva ahead of him, suddenly it's a whole different Gundogan. So, and do you think there's anything in that? Do you think or do you just think basically he's not got the legs? He's 29, so it's not like he's in his 30s.
Well, for me as well, is he plays better in Europe than he does in the Premier League. Europe game suits him better because there's more time for him on. He needs time on the ball. He's not a quick on the ball player. And sometimes we need that. We need it if we're playing it out from the back, and it hits him, and that's slowing down that little bit. It takes a touch too long.
Yeah.
As you say, when we've got B Silva and KDB on there, and they're wanting to push it forward, then he's encouraged to get the ball out to them quicker so they can get forward. You know what I mean? But for me, just too slow. As I said, every time I see it, I think, this is going to be a slower game. In games where we know if we're fast on the passing, we'll be in their box within 2 minutes and getting it to Aguero's feet, and that's the way we should play.
Right, okay then. So this is going to be, it's just a simple sell, stay. That's it. I want an answer off each of you. So the first one we talked about was Raheem Sterling. In the summer, sell or stay, Akio?
Oh, definitely stay for me. I wouldn't sell him more.
John, sell or stay?
Would be crazy to get rid of him.
Okay. Riyad Mahrez in the summer. Akio, sell or stay?
Stay for me, for sure.
John?
Yep, stay for me as well.
Okay, moving on to the next player, which was Cancelo in the summer. Stay or sell, Akio?
Oh, stay. It's too early to sell him, yeah.
John?
Yeah, same for me. Stay. It's too early, and we've paid extra money to get him in the first place, so another season at least.
Okay, on to Rodri. I think I know this one, Akio. Sell or stay?
Yeah, stay. We've invested a lot of money in him to become Fernandinho's successor, and I think he'll come good for sure.
Okay, John?
Stay. He's Ferner's replacement. Ferner's got an extra season to drill into, and what he needs to do is the future at that central defence.
Okay,
Central defensive mid, sorry.
Yeah, okay, and on to the last one then. Akio, Ilkay Gundogan, sell or stay?
For me, I'd personally hold on to him, at least for another season or so. I think I'd hold on to him. I don't see the need to sell him.
Okay. John, Ilkay Gundogan, sell or stay?
For me, get rid of him. We've got quite a few. We've got youngsters wanting to push into that midfield slot. So we're getting Silva's going. We're going to lose. We're going to lose El Major. So get rid of Gundogan and reinvigorate that bit of midfield for me.
Okay, so there we've got 5 players we've named. Only one sell, and that was Gundogan by John. Okay, moving on to the last 2 questions. Very quickly, John, you're going first. Where has it gone wrong? You've got 1 minute. Where has it gone wrong this season in the Premier League? Your time starts now.
Injuries for me. Injuries coming at the wrong time. People just KDB going out was the massive one for me. It's just piled up, and it's been niggling. No Laporte. We've no other real central defender. Laporte was the man, and we lost him, and that screwed us.
So down to injuries.
For me, yeah, and being off the boil, 2 seasons have been phenomenal. We're looking at a 3rd season, we're pushing it to play 3 seasons of phenomenal football and not be tired. So yeah, injuries, and we've been scintillating for 2 seasons. We can't expect to be scintillating from now to the end of days.
Okay, Akio, 1 minute. Where's it gone wrong in the Premier League this season?
Yeah, I think John summed it up really well right there. For me, it's a mix of multiple elements. It's just injuries, losing Laporte, your best centre-back, a short stint of losing your best midfielder, arguably one of the best midfielders in the world, losing Aguero for a while, even though it was just a little while, still the best striker in the Premier League, Leroy Sané, the young player of the year. So it's not just injuries, but it's injuries to crucial players. And I think this has forced Pep to, he rotates anyway, but I think this has forced a bunch of extra rotations and playing players that are not in their natural positions in other positions, and just a lot of mix and match. And I think it's all down to that, because if you look at a team like Liverpool, of course they don't have the depth that we do, but it's more or less the same squad and the same starting 11 week in and week out. So it's a bunch of guys who get more cohesive as they keep playing again and again and again, and that's what helps them get forward. And whereas for us, because of these minor setbacks and things that happen like this, we've had a lot of shuffling, a lot of rotations, and it's just not been our season.
How much have we missed Vincent Kompany, John?
Oh, we've no leader, and you can see that the Zinchenko thing just showed it. If Vincent had been there, he'd have been shouting everybody back straight away. He would caught none of that. But there's nobody there just to get a grip and say, right, come on, we need to push on. We're missing loads. To be honest, I would take him back on loan tomorrow.
Yeah. Do you agree, Akio?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Vincent Kompany is a gem, an absolute gem. Is just a one in the world. There's just one person in the world like him, and that's him. And he's rescued us far too many times before in the derbies. Last year's title-winning run, he just belted that goal into the back of the net, rescued us from another Liverpool title-winning season again. And I think there comes a point where you just have to draw the line and say, I need to take a break. But yeah, I don't think there's a single City fan in the world who would not want him to extend for at least another season. So that's a
Okay.
big blow.
Okay, so we missed him. We can't get him back. He's not coming back. Who should
Yeah.
be our captain next season? Just one word from each of you. John, who should be Man City's captain next season?
KDB for me.
Okay. Akio?
Yeah, hands down, KDB for me.
And hands down for me. That's three of us going for Kevin De Bruyne as next season's Man City captain, and I totally agree with it. Right, on to the last one, which is the golden question, which we always end up on. Akio, you can go first, mate. You can ask me any question, and you can ask John any question.
Okay, so, I mean, we just discussed about the 5 players, and I think most of us wanted them to stay. So we're going into a really crucial transfer window this next season. And if I'm not mistaken, I think even our foreign quota is full. So if we got to let go of, if we want to bring in another foreign player, we got to sell a foreign player or let go of one. So long story short, if I had to ask you guys to name 3 players that you'd want to ship out next season to obviously accommodate more players in, what would you guys say?
Over to you, John.
Oh, that's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
3 foreign players as well.
Yeah.
No, just generally, just
3 players
that
in
you'd
general.
want.
That is a really tough question because there's nobody other than Ilkay that I would definitely want rid of. People slag off players we've got, and it's like, who's going to replace them?
Yeah.
So for me, Ilkay, you've really put me on the spot here. Can we sell David? Can we sell David Silva then?
No, he'd be leaving.
No, yeah.
Really, I would. Ilkay's the only one I'd actually want out of the team at the moment. I really can't think of anybody that springs to mind that I would say, because you know people give so much stick to the likes of Ben Mendy, and it's like, no, I would keep Mendy. So for me, it's just Ilkay. And who would I want in replacement? I think we need to make a marquee signing. We've not made one for years, you know, like a big marquee signing.
Yeah,
and I think we should be cheeky and try and buy Mbappe, to be honest.
Well, the dippers are all over Mbappe at the moment, thinking Liverpool are going to sell him. Liverpool are going to buy him.
I would like to see, even if it was just a bid for him, just to show that, you know, the shape's still there and he's still got his oil money.
I think it all depends on all depends on FFP for me. I think there's still something might surprise us with that. I hope not, but I've got a funny feeling that's the reason why we haven't bought players in the summer and in the January transfer window. But my 3, I'd have to go with Gundogan. He'll be one. Otamendi would be another. And Claudio Bravo. Even though I've stuck up for Bravo on so many occasions, if I had to pick 3, that gets rid of 3 foreign players.
I could see that, although I do like Nico.
I do. I've stuck up for Otamendi as well, and think he gets a lot of hard criticism. But if I had to take 3 players that I thought they're overseas players, it frees up other spaces. We could, go for a young English keeper. This Henderson. We could bring back Angus Gunn as a number 2 or whatever, or Muric or somebody. I'd have to go for Otamendi, Gundogan, and Bravo to get rid of 3 overseas players, so we could bring somebody in. Anyway, good question, difficult one. Right, John, over to you.
Right, I'm going to keep it nice and simple here. So, favourite all-time Manchester City player?
Oh.
I know yours, Andy. I know yours straight away. This is more for Akio. Akio, who's been your favourite player over the time that you've supported City?
Yeah, it's a straight-off answer to you, David Silva. It's it's not just my favourite all-time City player, because I have been watching football for a couple of years before I started supporting City, but my favorite footballer of all time, just generally. He's just amazing. What the things I've seen him do with the football, and I have no words to explain it. David Silva is just my all-time favorite footballer, and it's going to be really disappointing to see him leave at the end of the season. So I hope we can genuinely make him leave with a couple of trophies.
Yeah, well, you know my thoughts on him. My first game was 77, and I've still not seen a better player. I was unfortunate enough to miss out on the golden Colin Bell era, and I didn't see Colin Bell in his pomp. But for me, he's the greatest City player for me who's ever worn the shirt. He's been an absolute genius on the pitch, an absolute gentleman off it, and nobody has a bad word. I mean, when opposition fans and opposition managers and pundit, everybody talks about him in such high esteem. He's just an absolute legend, and yeah, he's going to be missed. He really is. But time comes to us all, and it's. I just hope one day maybe we might get him back with Xavi on the coaching team, and maybe Xavi, who a lot of people think could be the next big manager in world football. Maybe him and Xavi could come back to Man City one day when Matteo's grown up a little bit. And I was gutted when Vinny sort of said goodbye at the end of last season. I didn't cry. I've never cried for a player leaving. I've been gutted in the past, but I'll definitely cry when David Silva plays his last game for Man City, without a shadow of a doubt. So, great question. It'll be interesting to see what other people say, because I guess it's all generational. How old, when did you first watch him? If you saw Colin Bell in his pomp, I'm sure the older generations will say Colin Bell, or even other players. Some might say Sergio, others might say, Vinny Kompany. But for me, definitely David Silva. Well, listen, guys, I want to say a massive thank you for coming on this latest episode of the Man City Fan TV podcast. You've been absolute stars. So before I go, Akio, where can people find you on Twitter, mate, or social media?
Yeah, you can find me on the handle BlueWolf_09. So that's my Twitter handle.
Because that's changed, hasn't it?
Yeah, I got my account that I had for the last 10 years, Blue Wolf. A lot of people would know me by that, the BlueWolf_69.
Yeah.
I've had that for ages, and unfortunately, when I posted a GIF of Rodri and Sterling getting pelted with coins by the Wolves fans, Twitter decided to take that down, and my account too. But yeah, I've got. This is my new account now. It's BlueWolf_9.
And listen, if you're not following Akio, go and follow him. He's doing like a series of vlogs about his trip, from what he managed to save from his phone and everything else when he came over to Manchester and went to an away game and a home game. And go over and follow him on Twitter. And John, if people want to follow you on social media, where can they find you, mate?
I'm on Twitter as S20all, but if you're looking for football content, you might be a bit bored of my Twitter, to be honest. But you're all welcome to join. I do have City fans on there as well, and occasionally do talk football. I'll actually have to make myself a little Twitter Manchester City account for myself, I think.
Yeah, get on there and get it sorted out, mate. If you don't know, John follows all of our videos and live streams and everything else, and you might see him as Section 20. So if you see him posting, you can go over and now you can put a voice to the account. But anyway, guys, listen, once again, a massive thank you for taking the time to come on this latest podcast. This is Andy from Man City Fan TV. Don't forget, this will be on SoundCloud. All the links will be in the description below. You can go over there if you're out for a run, or you're gone for a walk, or you're in the gym and you don't want to watch it on YouTube. You just want to listen to it. You can go over and download it free of charge and listen to it. And this will obviously is on our YouTube channel as well. If you've not subscribed to the channel, please click subscribe and hit that bell icon. Give it a thumbs up. But anyway, take care, guys. Have a wonderful evening. This is Andy from Man City Fan TV, and we'll see you soon.